Welcome back to the Purpose Over Profit podcast. This week we've got Darren McGhee on from DMG Roofing and Building Services. Darren's just such a force of nature. He's got a great backstory in terms of how he's came into the roofing trade, and really about how he's planned and kind of continued to excel and push the boundaries of his business and what sort of standards should be expected within his industry. He is won accolades, Apprentice of the Year. He is on the books with Screwfix now, who are supporting him with his own academy that he's built up, which is going to be starting, if it's not already, it's going to be starting very, very soon. And he's so passionate about being able to give back and being able to educate people and give people a place in the world that might not necessarily fit with traditional institutions as well. So listen, this just has a fantastic episode. Dan's such a great guy to listen to, so much insight, so much knowledge, and I'm sure you're going to really, really enjoy it.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Purpose Over Profit podcast. This week I'm really excited to have Darren McGhee, somebody I met at a coaching group forever ago. Actually, it feels like forever ago, must have been good 3 years ago. And he stood out straight away. Just his personality, his love for life and his passion for his business just stood out. How are you, Darren? Good to have you on.
Hi, Chris. I'm very good. How's yourself?
Very well, thank you. And today we've obviously got Darren Green with us. How are you doing, Darren?
Yeah, I can't complain. I apologise. There's some gardening getting done outside my window, so apologies if there's a bit of banging. I'll probably be on mute if I can.
So two Darrens in one room. Darren McGhee, would you like to kind of introduce yourself to some of our listeners, just to give them a bit of an idea of what you do and your background, if that's okay?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Darren McGhee. I have a roofing company called DMG Services Group. We primarily do the roofing works for new build sites such as Cala Homes, Taylor Wimpey, Barrett Homes and Balfour Beatty. We also have another company called MyRoofCare, which is the first and only roof care package in the UK. We designed MyRoofCare to primarily stop homeowners from getting ripped off. We've been up for Best New Business. Unfortunately, the awards get cancelled due to COVID, so we were a top 4 finalists. We didn't actually win it, but I'm going to blame COVID for that one. I think we would have won it. So the idea between MyRoofCare is just it's £12.99 a month. We go out to customers' homes and we protect them, clean their gutters out once a year, and we give them a £500 allowance. So by doing that, for every person that signs up, I feel that I'm going to stop that homeowner from getting ripped off from any rogue traders maybe turning up and saying you have a couple of tiles missing from your roof. It's going to cost you £1,000. If we can cover them for £156 a year and give them that peace of mind, I feel that it's one less person that's going to get ripped off. So, yeah.
I do remember that. That's when we met. Actually, it was Andrew McKillop's kind of coaching session, and you were very passionate at that point. That seemed quite hot off the press, and you were just talking about how you wanted to try and minimise the amount of damage people are getting done to their property and by their pocket as well.
Yeah, I mean, day-to-day life, I'm maybe going out to jobs, maybe not so much now because I've took a little back step, but every day you're hearing a horror story from someone. Oh, we had a roofer out and they charged us X amount and the leak's still there. Now I need to charge them double to fix the issue that they've already done. And it was a shame because I went to college to learn how to become a roof tiler and everything. And I'm very passionate about roofing, that I want to make it the best trade that I possibly can. And it is an industry that continues to disappoint when you have got guys that are going out there and ripping people off. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make roofing this amazing trade and start to maybe get people having a bit of confidence again in roofing, and gone are the days of the tradesmen having his arse hanging out. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to professionalise it a little bit. As you can see, all my guys wear the same stuff. We all have the DMG, we're branded, all the vans are branded. When we turn up, we chat the door. They know who we are right away. There's no white van man with me, and I'm trying to change that perception of roofing and construction.
I love that, and I should probably know this. As Chris said, I've built a property portfolio with my wife, but it's this time of the year that we're there was really bad rain the other day. We're down in Stuart, and like the rain's battering off the Velux, and we're like, oh, we're instantly going, oh, we know we've got a couple that are like, oh. But I'm like, $12.99, like instantly off the like $12.99 a month. I'm like that. Geez, like for peace of mind to make sure. I mean, it's for us. Although we've got someone that works in the business, like it doesn't like manages a bit of roof work for us.
Yeah,
$12.99 feels like a really, really keen price.
Yes,
for having that peace of mind for something that's effectively your house's biggest job is like keep you dry, keep you warm. Like that's it, and it can't keep you warm if it can't keep you dry. So
if it's leaking, I know, and that's why we've done it. I mean, I came up with the idea. I says, how can I stop people getting ripped off? And I was actually on holiday with my wife at the time, and it was a couple of days before I went on holiday. I got this leaflet through the door, and it was for boiler cover, and I just looked at it and I went, boiler cover, £5.99. And I was staring at it, and then I sat it to the side, and then I was on holiday with my wife, and I went, I'm going to start a roof care company. And I sat down, we're sitting at breakfast, I think we were in Spain, and I got an A4 bit of paper and I started drawing on it. And my wife says, what you doing? I says, I've got an idea in my head. And I just started doodling. And my wife's an art teacher, and I started doodling on it, and I'm like, she's going to critique this and say, what the hell are you doing? And I just started doodling away, and I went, what's the name? And I come up with MyRoofCare. I started off at £9.99 because remember, it's an idea that no one else has done. So I wanted to make it appealable to people at the same time. I went, is £9.99 too much? And then I went, well, it's only £120 a year. I'm going to cover the roof for £120 a year. I'm going to give them £500 allowance. I'm going to clean their gutters out every year. And obviously, over the years, we've started to build it up. We've took a little bit out. We've added a little bit in. We've listened to customers. We now have over 300 customers signed up to MyRoofCare. We've just signed up Chivas Regal to maintain every Chivas Regal in Scotland. Now, that's a little bit more expensive than $12.99. So we tailor the package to who we're going to work for. So we've got converted churches, chapels, we've got hotels, we've got petrol stations, we've got care homes. We've obviously got all of the home residential owners, and we've got call centres as well. I mean, it's so expansive, it can just run and run and run. As I say, when we went to the meetings and everything, Chris, everyone has a roof. So everyone can sign up to MyRoofCare, which is fantastic.
And at that point, obviously, you're on holiday, and I find sometimes the best ideas come when you're relaxing. You're in that kind of meditative state, you're completely chilled out, and all of a sudden it turns into a business holiday as well. Your wife's sitting there, which is fantastic.
Yes. Well, when I says to her, I says, look, I hope you don't mind. I says, but I'm having my coffee and I've got an idea and I need to get it out of my head. and she went, no, and I started telling. She went, wow, what a great idea. And then 3 years have passed, and we just seem to be growing and growing.
Because obviously you touched upon it there. You touched upon being an apprentice, and obviously I've mentioned this in my notes that I was going to bring it up. But like you've won the Apprentice Award 3 years in a row. Was that right? Yeah.
Yeah. When I went to South Lanarkshire College, I was an apprentice roof tiler, and I won Apprentice of the Year for my first year, my second year, and my advanced craft for third year. I'm still in touch with quite a few people in the college, the old lecturers and everything, and I think I am still to this day the only person to win Apprentice of the Year 3 years in a row in any trade, which fantastic. For me is unbelievable. And that's joinery, electrician, everything. So that is quite a big, it's a personal achievement, which I'm very proud of.
What do you think that, or why do you think that was? What was it about you at that time?
Wanting to be better than everyone else. I wasn't very academic at school. I hated school. I knew school just was never for me. I knew I was never going to go to uni. But at the weekends, I used to go out with my father and work on a Saturday just up on the roofs. I'd get £5 a shift. It was the best £5 you could ever earn. Just as soon as I put a hammer in my hand, I loved it. I knew this is amazing. I'm putting nails into a roof. I'm creating something that's going to be here for 30, 40, 50 years. Just, I loved it from the get-go, and I loved earning my own money. What I didn't love was working for my father because he was a tyrant. And I say that in the loosest term, just made me the man I am today through hard work. It just always says, look, you always do the job right and no one can ever come back to you. And at times I went, oh, but if I'd done this, we'd do it faster. And he would always go, no. If you think, will I get away with that? You've already answered your own question. It means that it's wrong. So through back and forth, he always kind of says to me, look, integrity is a big thing. Always do the job right when no one's watching. And see if you continue to have that as one of your values, you'll never go wrong. And it stayed with me till today.
So
it really has.
So is that a part of the inspiration then from moving on from school? Because obviously school, we spoke at this in different podcasts about how if you're not academically trained, then you're sometimes missed, or they just think you're stupid, you're not clever enough.
They do. I mean, again, with my wife being a high school teacher and my own kind of personal journey, I wasn't academic. I wasn't great at school, but I knew that I was good and I knew that I had a great attitude, and I just wanted to do something. And as soon as I started roofing and I had that hammer in my hand, I went, well, when I go to college, I'm not there for a laugh and a carry on. I'm there to be the best in the room. And there was maybe 13 in the class, and I'm still pals with 2 guys that I went to college with to this day. I mean, I was texting one of them yesterday, Scott Bain, and my other friend Greg Brown, and these 2 guys were amazing as well, and they have their own businesses, roofing businesses now, and we kind of touch on each other. If we need a little bit of help or a wee bit of advice, we'll text each other or phone each other. And with they 2 guys in the same classroom as me, we all wanted to win Apprentice of the Year, and it spurred us all on to do it, and they kept me on my toes, and likewise. And when I won it the first year, I went, I want to win this the second year. And then when I won it the second year, I went, I need to win this the third year, because I knew I'd never been done. Yeah. So I just went, no, if you're the hardest working in the room, and just I have this burning desire in myself. And I think it's, my wife Kerry always goes like that to me. She says, like, you're doing amazing, like, calm down a little bit. And I go, look, I feel as if I'm in a constant competition with myself to just keep going and keep going and keep going. And whenever I left college and I was Apprentice of the Year, and then I went out on my own, I decided to go out on my own, I think, when I was about 23. And the reason I went out on my own is because I was working for another company, still with my father, and I was earning really good money, especially for my 23-year-old. But I says to my boss at the time, look, I would love to have my own building site. He went, no chance. I says, well, all you need to do, it's still your site, but give me the site, me and 2 of my men, we'll look after the full site. And like I say, I was earning good money. I don't want to say how much, but I was earning really good money for that age. And he just point blank says no. So I said, right, okay. So I went and bought a van on the side, still continued to work for him, and started doing my homers. So I was going out, just started to build up a wee clientele myself. I was doing the work for him, maybe finishing about 2-3 o'clock. And then I was going out and I was doing my homers. So it just got to the stage that I continued to do that until I got to a stage that the homers started taking over, and I was allowed to come away from obviously working for him. And I just went out on my own, and that's when I started DMG.
That's quite a lot of hours, I guess, to be invested in working your day job and then working the side job. And your wife's a teacher at this point still, yeah?
No, I wasn't with her at the time. I was still single. Yeah, so I was young, hungry, and allowed to work past 5 o'clock.
We all know that feeling. Yeah.
Yes. So whether I'd be allowed to do that now is a different question.
Is there anything like I was chatting to my mentee? I do a bit of mentoring at one of the high schools, and I was chatting to him about kind of, and Gary V. I don't know if you know Gary Vaynerchuk. He talks about this a lot. Like, he's a public speaker, but around using that time when you're young, it's not the time to be focused on money. It's the time to be like putting in the hours, putting in the hard work, putting in the graft, finding out what your passion is, and kind of like driving for it. Because like, and failing as much as you possibly can at it as well, like trying stuff that works, like doesn't work, and trying new things. But it's interesting because you said now we're all sat here. How many kids have you got, Darren?
2.
So we're all got 2 kids here, and you're right. There's like different pressures. I mean, it's not even that we're not allowed to. We don't actually want to. Let's be honest. We do. They're a bane of our lives at times. But like, I love to be with my family. past that time.
Yeah.
So there is different phases of your life. So I think definitely maximising those early years, I think, felt really important. But it felt like you were really dialed in from a young age. Like, that's my North Star. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, all of my pals used to slag me, I think, because I was about 23 or 24. And I would always go like that. All I want to be is mortgage free by the time I hit 40. And they were like, why are you thinking about having your mortgage free at your 40? And I went, well, who wants to be working past 40? Look, and now I turned 41 yesterday, and I'm not retiring anytime soon. Like, it's just, but even to think as a young age like that I went, well, I know where I want to be in 10 years. I know where I want to be at that stage of my life. I know I want to have a business. I want to be the best. Things like that were maybe a little bit different to what my friends are kind of, what they were thinking about. Oh, I'm going out on a Friday night. I'm going to get drunk and do this and do that. Whereas I was like, right, okay, but there's other things I want to do. I don't want to be a 50-year-old roofer like a humph, and I can hardly walk. So I came off the tools when I was about 30, 32, just because I knew I would earn more money with my brain than I would with a hammer in my hand. And that's when I started to expand.
That sounds brilliant. I mean, it's all about that hard work and dedication. I went to school with James McFadden, so he was in the year below me. And I always remember I've seen my wife since we were about 16. So I remember getting the bus to go and meet my wife in town. And James got on the bus and he was going to the sports centre to train. It was a Friday night. And I was like, why are you not going out with your friends? He's like, oh, I'm going to go. I've joined a Motherwell at the time. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to keep my practice up. They're out getting drunk. I'm not that fussed. And then you look at that now, where he is now, and you're right, it's that trajectory. For you to have that mindset of, I want to be financially free or not have a mortgage when I'm 40. What age were you then when you were saying that?
23, 24.
Wow.
And who instilled that? And I know you said like your dad was the making of you. It was like, do it right or don't do it at all sort of philosophy, like never cut corners. Like who embodied that competitive edge, that thinking differently? Like was it you looking at someone and going, do you know what, that's what I want? Or was it more of, I definitely don't want that. I don't want to have a mortgage, toiling when I'm into my 40s.
Yeah, I mean, I think more than anything, looking at my mum growing up as well, it's actually my stepfather that started me in roofing. My mother was a single mum. So between me and my father, she worked 2 jobs, and I could see her working 2 jobs. And I mean, she just worked so hard. And we weren't poor, but we weren't rich. But I just seen it and I went, God, look how hard she's working to give us food. Like food and clothes. There was no luxuries or anything like that. It was just the essentials that you needed. And I think I always looked at that and went, God, I love how hardworking she is for what she's doing. And I looked at that, and then my stepfather came in, John, and he showed me, here's a job. And then it was, God, here's a job that I love. And then I just grabbed it with 2 hands and I went, do you know what? I've got a big chance here and I'm not letting go. And if I'm going to take that chance, then be the best at it. Who wants to be second? My wife always slags me. I go like that. If you're not first, you're last. And she goes, well, you could be second or third. I went, who wants to be second or third? And she goes, please don't tell our son that. And I went, well, I'll tell him when you're not in the room then, because I want him to have that same desire. Who wants to be second or third? You want to be first.
That's that driven. You've obviously a driven personality, which is a winning mindset, but at the same time, you've got that integrity to look after people and make sure what you're doing is correct. And that seems really important. So you've taken all these values, I guess, into your own business when you're 23. Yes. And that's still quite a young age. And I'm just trying to do the maths here. So that's 18 years, is that right? You've been in business?
I'm 40. Aye. God, that feels old. Yes.
And that's tremendous. 18 years is quite a trajectory to be on. And now to be at this point where you've obviously got the MyRoofCare, you've got your own business, but then your own services, but you've obviously now branching out into the academy as well.
Yeah, so we've just took over the premises in Bells Hill, and we're opening up DMG Academy of Roofing. So what I want to do, we already have apprentices that work for us, but it's like everything else. I'm trying to change. When you maybe take a young laddie out, you're putting him up on a roof. Now, it's maybe the first time that he's been on a scaffolding. So you're getting a lot of them that are coming up on that scaffolding and their legs are shaking and you can see them, and you're putting them massively in at the deep end. So for quite a few number of years, I've always went, you know what, I would love to have my own academy. I don't know if the 2 years are the same age group as me, but can you remember Henry Boot?
No, actually. I'm the same age group, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, right. So Henry Boot was some sort of construction for, it was for everything. So it was for joinery, bricklaying, roofing, plumbing. It was just a one-stop shop that you would leave school, and if you didn't know what you wanted to do when you left school, you would go to Henry Boot. So what I want to do is I want all the kids that are already at school to already know about DMG Academy of Roofing. So through their uncles or their parents or whoever else, or the things that I'm putting on social media, I want us to be the Henry Boot of roofing, that when they leave school, we go, do you know what? There's an academy here that we get the young kids in. We've set up roofing rigs already, all in the academy, that the kids come in, they're on the ground. We have the roofing rig set up. We're going to give them a hammer and a nail bag, and it's going to be me teaching them. So I'm going to come in there and teach them, listen, there's no pressure. Here you go. Here's a roof. I'm going to show them what to do. If you like it, you like it. And if you don't, no problem at all. I've already spoke to South Lanarkshire College, and I've said to them, look, if these young kids maybe don't like roofing, then is there any chance that we can still bring them into the college and they might get a wee shot of joinery or bricklaying or anything else? And he went, brilliant. What the big thing here is to capture them from school, bring them into the academy first. Then you've got their name. You've got them there. Then you start to have a discussion with them. And if roofing's not for them, brilliant. We can then pass them on to the college and give them a chance, and then they won't slip through the net. That's the most important thing, because I feel myself very, very lucky that my stepfather got me when he did. And I was just very lucky that I loved roofing right away. And what we want to do is change the mindset as well, that people will look at roofing and maybe go, oh, roofer, like I was saying to you previous, that we want to change the perception of construction as a whole, that it isn't a guy with his arse hanging out. So we want to make it that if you do become a roofer, and I give you an apprenticeship and a pathway into college, and you do your 4-year apprenticeships, now you could potentially earn £1,000 a week. If you're a roofer, you're a time-served roofer with a skill set that we can give you at DMG Services Group, you have the potential there of working on the house builders that we currently work for, Cala Homes, Taylor Wimpey, Balfour Beatty, Barrett Homes and David Wilson. We are now working with the 5 main house builders in the UK with 10 years of work already in the book. So these kids could have a job for life with me, the way things are going just now. And if I've got the Academy of Roofing there, then I'm constantly going to be churning out apprentices that are all going to be getting taught from me and Kevin, who's my main foreman, teaching them how to do the job right, how to have all the core values that I can pass on to them. And if they have that and they come in with a great attitude, then they can't go wrong in life.
I love that. There's something in there as well about you passing the baton on in terms of the lessons that your dad gave you in terms of do it right, no cutting corners, this is how it's done right. And if, like you said, if roofing's for them, fantastic, they've potentially got a job for life. But if not, you've also got the pathway connections to be able to, the most important thing, they're not slipping through the net. You can pass them on to college and they can get on the path that's right for them. So that's fantastic. So talk to us a bit about that, then. So where's that at the moment, and how long has that been in the background, I guess, for you?
Yeah, well, and it's been in the background for me for probably many years. But now with the profile, when I won Britain's Top Tradesperson in 2019, it gave me a profile that I was not expecting. It transported us on social media and myself to all of these companies coming to me. I mean, I would put a post on LinkedIn about maybe doing a roof, and then I would get all of these private mails coming from commercial directors of X, Y, and Z. And I'm going, hold on a minute. I've been chapping the door here for many years, and now they're coming to me.
They're chapping mine.
Now they're chapping mine. And I mean, on a weekly basis now, we're getting contracts coming in from all of these guys saying, here's another contract worth X. Do you want it? It's another 2 years of work. And I'm going, wow, we're living the dream. So to where we're at just now with the academy, we're ready to open. I mean, we are days away from opening. Just a couple of things. We don't have Wi-Fi. So I've been waiting for about 40 or 50 days for the Wi-Fi to come in. So I need that to kind of get set up. But in terms of the roofing rigs and everything else, we're good to go. We've put a couple of things on social media just with the website. just to try and engage some interest. We probably had about 10 young kids. That's boys and girls, by the way. We are desperate to try and get some girls into construction and roofing as well. I want to be inclusive. I want anyone to come. Now, who's to say a girl is not going to be a good roofer? You can see that there's heating engineers, plumbers, girls. I want my doors open to anyone. If they come in again with the right attitude, then who cares if it's a girl or a boy? As long as they can do the job right, I don't care. If it takes her 10 minutes longer to do it, see, as long as it's done right, I don't care, as long as it's done right. So the academy, what we're hoping on, if we can maybe get about 5 kids in each week, let them into the academy, give them a hammer, an nail bag, and then just start to teach them, and let's just see where it goes. And hopefully we can just start to give them apprenticeships right away.
I think that's brilliant as well, because we spoke to somebody else recently about this, about the perception of an industry as well, and that perception has been built up over generations and generations about it's not being inclusive enough, it's not been opportunities for them as well. Yeah. And giving it open to anyone, doesn't matter where you come from, your background, whether or not you're male or female, whatever. I think that is great as well, because again, like Darren said, that's passing the baton on. And you never know what's going to happen in 50 years and 100 years as well. You never know if this becomes a legacy as well that people will then talk about for years to come, which hopefully they will.
That's kind of what I'm wanting. I mean, my son just now, my youngest is 4. I have a stepson, by the way, has got Down syndrome as well. So obviously I can't pass it on to him. But my 4-year-old, I mean, he might not want to be a roofer. Now, that's fine. But I'm going to give him absolutely every opportunity to pass down a good business. Whether he wants to come into it or not, that's a different story. But we'll go with on the hope that he does take it. But if he doesn't, hopefully I can pass down a great business, or sell it and retire off into the sunset to someone else. But my main aim here is that I don't ever want to shut the doors of DMG. I do want a business here that just goes and goes and goes. And when I'm long gone, hopefully a family member of mine can continue to just have that there. I would love to have a business with underneath it says 100 years. Imagine having something like that. It would be fantastic. So it would be great. It's all hindsight, obviously, but it would be great to pass it on. And
there's a big element. I love that 100 years in business, but it's all about what you're instilling back into the future generations. I can see as well you did employee of the month, which most organisations do, but I can see that on the website as well. It's actually people who enjoy. You give them the tools and all this kind of stuff. So there is that kind of giving back, even with your own team. I mean, how do you support your own employees as well?
Yeah, well, that was my wife's idea. She just came in and she says, look, why don't you do an employee of the month? Now, when I won Britain's Top Tradesman, I get £20,000 to spend in Screwfix. So I spent that in the office. I bought computers and things like that. But I went, well, I don't need all of that, all of the tools, everything else. So I says, well, let's start to have a little bit of a competition, healthy competition within all of the employees that are there. And if I can say, right, guys, if you win employee of the month this month, you're going to get £100 nail bag. What? You're kidding? So you've got them all working harder for you in healthy competition without them knowing it. So it's win-win. So at the end of the month, I've gave away like a Makita drill worth £200, Milwaukee nail bags. I gave one of the other boys £100 gift vouchers to one of the restaurants in Glasgow. Just always kind of change it up, just so that I kind of look as well and go, what do they need? What do they need just now? And I'll go, do you know what? You look as if you need a new hammer and a nail bag. If you worked hard this month, you might get that. It's a wee bit of kidology as well.
There's something in that. It's tailoring it. It's not like it's a gift card every month, and it's kind of nondescript. You know, people like to feel like you like they're seen and recognised as a human and who they are and different wants and needs. So I love the fact that you're like, you know what, you know, suss out what it is that they want or need, like from there, and we'll put that in, and lo and behold, they're working a lot harder for it. There you go.
Yes, it's win-win, and it's nice because when the guys get it, you should see the smile on their faces. Honestly, it's brilliant. It really is. And no one done that for me when I was working or whatever else. And what we're trying to do, again, change the perception of roofing. You want to be a company that people want to work for. That more than anything is, everyone's looking at us now. We're the new kids on the block when it comes to working for the house builders. And there's a lot of old roofing companies that have been there for a long, long time that I even remember when I was an apprentice growing up, and I I want to be that company that everyone wants to work for. And the good thing is, whenever you get other roofers leaving their company to come to us, they all go, when am I getting my red and black top? I can't wait to get it. You look great. And I'm like, wow, look at that. They want to come and work for you just to get an item of clothing, just to be part of a brand. And I want to build a brand that we've got the red DMG Services group here. I want to build a brand that everyone's proud to wear. And I mean, see like this jumper I'm wearing just now, I would wear this out to a restaurant. And my wife slags me and she goes, I'd rather wear this because I'm proud to wear it. And I want to make it look good, that it's a good kind of outfit to wear anywhere I go. And I'm also always advertising myself.
That's crucial. I mean, it's free advertising as well. It's a conversation piece as well in a restaurant, I'm sure, especially for a lovely meal with your wife, and she's dressed in all the glad rags and you've got the DMG on. But yeah, we talked.
Maybe drop the belt though, eh? Like, maybe that's a wee bit. That's a wee bit too far. Like, leave the hammer in the car.
But we briefly touched upon the apprentices. Obviously, that's fantastic. I mean, you've got the apprentices coming in, the academy, working with that. But we briefly spoke off camera. Briefly, it'd be good to kind of touch upon this with our listeners. Just about, it's not about incentivizing them with tools and all this kind of stuff. It's about going a little bit further. Can we briefly talk about what we're talking about off camera, if that's all right?
Yeah, of course. There was one young laddie, he came to us, obviously had quite a bit of a hard life, and he's just never ever had a chance. What he sees day to day is just not nice for an 18-year-old to kind of see. So after me speaking to someone else through networking, he just kind of mentioned the boy, touched on it, that he'd done a bit of roofing with other people, and just such a hard life, and we decided to take a chance on him. He's 18. He stays in a block that he's the only guy in this block that works. He gets up every morning. He travels from Parkhead to Coatbridge, gets a train every morning, and then we pick him up. He's always early for his work, turns up, wants to better his life, and we're now trying to obviously get him a flat in Coatbridge. We're trying to change his life, because if he never ever sees anything different to what he's seen in a day-to-day life, then he's going to go down the same route as the people that are around about him. So by getting him rehoused 15 minutes away from where he is in Parkhead to maybe Coatbridge, the difference that can do for that young laddie's life is going to be unreal. We've now given him an apprenticeship. He goes to South Lanarkshire College. He's a first-year apprentice, and he's thriving. He is thriving. He's dyslexic as well, so it takes him a wee bit longer to obviously take things in, but we've told the college about it. The college spend a wee bit more time with him because we've highlighted it, instead of him sitting there in a corner and going, God. I just says, tell the lecturers right away. I'd already told them, but I says, be honest about it. It's not embarrassing to be dyslexic. It's just something else that you maybe need to overcome and get a little 5 or 10 minutes longer with. And that's the thing. See, if you highlight it and you tell people right off the bat, then it's more spoke about. You'll get that little bit more. And again, I just want to touch on, there's no wrong path. Everyone has their own issues and stuff going on in the background. We can all get to where we want to be with a little bit of help. So I want to help this young laddie, and it's probably going to be the proudest moment that I've ever done when I see him passing his 4-year apprenticeship and becoming a tradesman. For me, I'll go, I've changed that boy's life. And hopefully he can take it on and stay with me for a long, long time. So that for me is huge as well, to change kids' lives.
That's fantastic. And I know it's not, it's one story, but I know that's not isolated. It's just the fact you were aware of the opportunity to help. You've got the platform to be able to do that. And you've done that. You're actively doing that just now. I think even just hearing it there, it's something that's, I would love to be able to have such a similar impact on a young life. So yeah, you should be really, really proud.
You can hear the passion in your voice as well when you're talking about it, which is
because I look at him and I go, God, this young laddie is like, you just now, like even just thinking about him, I'm like, God, this young laddie just needs a break. He needs a break. Now, I hope and I pray that he sticks with us. I pray that he's overcoming obstacles that no one knows what anyone's going through in their life. In a day-to-day life, no one knows what anyone's going through. See, for this young laddie just to get up in the morning and get onto that train and get to work, that's huge. It's huge. So for me, I'm like, wow, just well done. You've got there. Now let me teach you about roofing. Now let me teach you a skill set that is going to, you can go anywhere in the world once you become a roofer. If you want to stay here and be part of DMG, brilliant. If you want to go and spread your wings, brilliant. But I've just changed that young laddie's life, whereas he could be working in a shop or doing anything, and he'll be doing that for the rest of his life. So it's a big thing. And again, the academy for me, if I can get kids just coming throughout the years and continuously doing that for them, not knowing where they came from or whatever else, it's a big one for me to do that.
Yeah, you've mentioned attitudes so many times. I've got chills like listening to you talk about that and the strength that it takes for like guy, young lad to get up and just get on the train. You don't know like what anyone's facing. You really don't. And it's like being kind always, but the fact that you sense that attitude and the effort that they're, he's literally meeting you more than halfway.
Yes,
do you know what
trying.
I mean? Yeah,
he's trying.
So he's getting there, and therefore it's almost like a privilege. You can see the passion in you, and just, I'll take it from here. I've got you.
Yes.
So going from one journey, which is his journey, basically going from his home to your work and all this stuff. Let's talk about your journey as well, because we've obviously talked about The Apprentice. You talked about Britain's Best Tradesperson with Screwfix. What was that like as a journey as well? Like entering that kind of competition, was that an eye opener as well?
Yeah, it really was an eye opener. I entered it. I actually entered it 6 years previous, and I entered it. I got to the semi-finals in Scotland, and we got to the interview process. And like everything, I touched on it earlier. If you're not first, you're last. So when I got there and I started telling them all about what I was doing and everything else, and I walked out and I'd just done previously Kilimanjaro the year before, and I raised about £11,000, I think it was, for charity.
Which is phenomenal, by the way. A phenomenal amount of money for a charity.
But it was me and my two friends, and we actually raised it for St Andrew's Hospice in Airdrie. I was just thinking about it. I went, God, we're going to end up in there one day. Let's try and raise some money. Let's try and raise some money for one of our local charities.
I know you were saying earlier, like, you've got this vision, you're a wee bit different, and you don't want to have a mortgage when you're 40. But like, be thinking about like, that's you've taken that too far now.
Listen, I don't know where my kids are going to send me when I'm older. So I hope that by doing that I've done a nice thing, and they don't.
Yeah.
So we raised the money for charity, and we done it. But I never mentioned it in the interview process, and I came away. And then when I found out that the guy from Scotland that won it had done a wee bit of charity work, and I went, I can't believe that I never mentioned that. So I fell out of love with it for maybe about 6 or 7 years.
Why did you not mention it? What was it?
I felt that, there he's mentioning charity work. Like, they would go, all right, okay, he's mentioning a wee bit of charity work. Now he thinks he's going to win by mentioning it, and it was more embarrassment than anything.
Like you say, a wee bit of charity work. You clean Kilimanjaro.
I know. Like 11 grand, like, is. Yeah. I mean, I've ran a few marathons and done a bit of charity work. I don't think my collective effort at almost 40-year-old is 11 grand as well. So that's phenomenal. But it's interesting. I wanted to ask, because I thought you touched on embarrassment, and I picked up on something earlier where you're talking about the young lad that's dyslexic, and you've said, go and tell the college that. And I think, isn't it interesting how the lessons that we kind of learn, we can pass on. But this thing, whether it's Scottish based or UK, we like to downplay all the stuff that we do, and we don't like to talk good about ourselves, and being embarrassed to talk about, like, I'm doing really positive charity work like that.
I know.
That should be something we shout about.
Yeah, it is a Scottish thing, and it really is. And again, my father, the only reason he didn't start out on his own was because he's dyslexic. He says, I was all hooked up. I was going to go into a business gateway meeting, and I didn't want to go. Do you know why? Because I'm dyslexic. He says I'd be embarrassed to sit there and write it down. So he always pushed me. He says, look, you go and do it, because I'm always disappointed in myself that I was embarrassed not to go into that room that day. But see, my father, with numbers, I mean, you could tell him to multiply something and right away got it. So his feelings have been passed on to me, and now I'm like to that young laddie, look, you're only dyslexic. It doesn't matter. You're not lost an arm or anything. Get in there and just tell them and deal with it, and you'll get help.
it's such a narrow, defined, like, and I think there's maybe, part of the school system, but it's such a narrow kind of definition of, like, that's what you should be. That's normal. But it's not. We've all got completely different skills. I can't remember the phrase, but it's like if you consider everyone based upon their aptitude, based on their ability to climb a tree, it's like that's absolutely nonsense. There's like someone else can climb a tree, no bother. Like it's
we all have our own strengths and weaknesses.
Well, let's bring it back to the tradesperson of the year, because actually it's really interesting how you said that. So 6 years ago you went for, was 6 years ago, did you say? You consider you took a break for 6 years, was it?
I took a break for like 6 years. I think it was 2012 when I first went, and then I fell out of love with it after that for a few years. And then obviously I decided to go for it again in 2019, and we sent in, again, this is after I kind of won it. I spoke to the girls, the judges and everything in Screwfix. I says, what made me stand out whenever I sent in my application? And I knew what the answer was right away. What I sent in, instead of just sending in a basic, hi, my name is Darren, I'm a roof tiler, blah, 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 I sent it in as a quotation. So I sent in my application as a quote, just saying, dear Screwfix, blah, blah, blah. Hi, my name is Darren McGhee. And I started writing a lot of things about myself and what I'd done and what I'd achieved and everything else. And then at the bottom of it, it was like the price. And it was, I'm going to be Britain's top tradesman. So she says right away, there was a confidence that came over, and none of them could stop talking about it, going, this isn't your normal application form. You know what I mean? So it was just something to make it stand out from everyone else that I'd done. That got me in the door, and then it was just a case of a series of Zoom meetings and everything else, and then I went down to London, down to Screwfix Live, and there was another 12 men and women there, and we went through an interview process, and I sat down with them all the judges around this big table, and started telling them all about the journey, about what I wanted to do, about just opening up MyRoofCare and how I was going to try and change an industry that continues to disappoint in roofing. And as I was sitting around that table for 20 minutes, I went, God, this is going to be the longest 20 minutes of my life. I don't think I shut up for 20 minutes. And I could see them all round about me, you could see them all kind of nodding their head. And every time they nodded their head, I went, I've got this here. And it just spurred me on to continuously talk about it. And lo and behold, I won it.
But there's something about that, about being able to engage an audience for that long without that much interruption, but then continue to delight what you're saying to them as well. Because you're talking about MyRoofCare, you might have even mentioned Academy at some point. This is your aspirations as well, so they're seeing the future growth of what this could become.
Yeah. I think that again, at once, I'm now a judge for Screwfix, so I've actually now done, I think I've done it 5 times since I won it, the Trade Apprentice of the Year and Screwfix Top Tradesman. I've been a judge since winning it on all of these, so I'm now getting to change other people's lives and help enhance them. And there's been a young boy from Glasgow as well, he won Trade Apprentice of the Year, and now me and him work together. I've actually had him in my academy doing some joinery works for me and everything, and he's doing brilliant as well. So just to kind of see that change people's lives and now become, I mean, I'm in with the bricks now with Screwfix, and they are actually going to help us with the academy now as well. After telling them, they're now going to be giving us hammers for all the students, nail bags, they're going to support us and fund us. So to have that is massive. It really is.
That's absolutely phenomenal. And listen, like you talk about 20 minutes. I don't know how long we've been talking here, but it's absolutely flown by. You mentioned earlier about and I think it was tongue in cheek, because I'm not sure when you retire, the amount of passion and energy that you've got talking about all the projects you've got on. But what's next for you? Obviously, you've got the academy that's going to be launching shortly. What do you see in the next sort of 5-10 years?
To be not the biggest roofing contractor in Scotland, but to be the best. I want to change kids' lives. I want to continuously have apprentices coming through the academy, men and women, by the way. Just massive for me. Just if I can get a woman apprentice that can then be a woman roofer, massive tick box for me. So I want to continuously get working for the 5-star builders like the Cala, your Taylor Wimpey, Barrett Homes, David Wilson and Balfour Beatty. If I can build up a massive roofing company here that works for them, I can't ever see myself retiring because I do love what I do too much. I'll take a back step. I'll be more office-based and everything else. And if I'm a 60-year-old man in the academy continuously passing on my skills to young kids, I probably would never retire, to be honest with you. As much as the young 21 or 23-year-old went, I want to be mortgage-free and retired for when I'm 40. I've now got to 41 yesterday, and I just want to keep pushing. Is my passion still there? I think that if I did give up and retire, it would be a shame, because I do want to pass on all the knowledge that I have just now. Whereas that's good or bad, I don't know. But I think that if I can pass on what I do have, and more importantly, change kids' lives, I'll keep going for as long as I can.
I think there's something in that that's came out from all this conversation, is you don't want to settle. You want to be that number one. You always want to be there. You want to showcase in everyone else, the next generation, that you can be the best, be the best you can be. Go back to those traits from your dad as well. Don't cut corners and always do your best. And I love how you said, I don't want to be the biggest, I want to be the best. Because there's a massive difference there as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, by being the biggest, I would lose family time. So I don't need to have 100 men working for me. We right now have 11 men that work for us, but I've got 6 active sites. Now, people look at me and go, many men, have you got like 50 men, 60 men? I go, no, 11. And it's just because we're good. When we turn up to do a job, we're quick, we're efficient, and we do the job right. I can put 3 men on a job and they'll do it in 2 days. It'll take another 3 men 10 days to do it. But because of what I've had instilled into them from my father, they now can do the job fast and efficiently. So we don't need to be this massive company, but what we're doing is we're doing it right. And all these house builders, like I say, think that I'm bigger than what I am, but I'm not. We're just organised.
Brilliant. So, Darren, how can people reach you? How can they find out more about the academy, MyRoofCare, etc.?
Yeah, so what they can do, they can go on to dmgservicesgroup.co.uk and just click the link there. We have the DMG Services Group, we have the MyRoofCare and the DMG Academy of Roofing. All the links are all on the one website. They can also contact us on 0800 111 4587 if they want to get direct through to the office. And yeah, if there's anyone out there that kind of wants to change their life, if they want to have an apprenticeship and be a roofing tradesman, then come and join a company that's trying to change things.
Fantastic. No, that's brilliant, Darren. I'm sure there's loads of people out there that'll be listening to this thinking the same as well. And I love how you're trying to change the industry for good. I think that's definitely a positive.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolute pleasure speaking to you today, Darren.
Thank you, Dan. Likewise.
As always, thank you so much for listening to the Pop Pod this week. If you'd like to leave a review or share the podcast with others, then that'd be awesome. You'll find us on Instagram at the Pop Pod, and on Facebook we have a community group called Purpose to Progress that anyone can join. And we'll be back every Monday with a new episode, but until then, stay on purpose and we'll see you next week.